So is there anyone like who need a detailed discussion of this RAML fragment? Yesterday we did, I explained everything, but is there anyone who don't know about RAML? So maybe I can take one
Yeah,
small discussion.
yeah, I need it. I need it, Ravi. If you have any complex example, if you have any RAML, that is also useful, Ravi.
Yeah,
No
that
need
only.
to discuss. I can repeat if you have.
Okay, so here we will see step by step everything. So first thing, as I mentioned, if you want to create RAML fragment async API or Mule application, for everything you need to go to create new. Okay, so here if you want to create RAML, this one is to create fragment, this one is to create Mule application, this one to create Mule async API. Okay, and these two options we have. One is to import this, and this one is sync your existing GitHub repo. Okay, these two options you will use very rarely. Import like when you have RAML in your local system and you want to import. So first thing, like if you want to create fragment, you need to click on this option. Okay, and it will ask you name of the fragment. Once you will provide name of fragment, it will go to fragment page. Okay, it will go to fragment page. Here you can see like fragment, like it's a reusable component where we can define reusable component like traits, data type. Okay, then examples, resource, library, all those things we can define here. Okay, so here you can see I have created one data type. This is for common error. Since that error response, since for this error response, what will happen? Like many API will be there. They will have same common structure for error response. Okay, so for that, like it's a reusable component. So what I did, I created common fragment here. Sorry, common error data type inside data type section. Okay, now this one is record payment request. So this particular like detail, like we are going to use at multiple places. Okay, this particular data type we are going to use at multiple places. So I created it here. Same, this particular data type I'm going to use at multiple places. So I created inside this data type within the fragment. Okay, same way, like example, like we are going to use this example in multiple places. So I created here. And then we have traits. Okay, so trait again, like it's a reusable component which contain query parameter, URI parameter, body, header, all those things it contains. So whatever like a header, query parameter, URI parameter, or body, I will think it will be used in multiple places. We should create it here. Okay. So you can see here this transaction ID, client secret, content type, and accept. This is common for like every API and every resources. So what I did, I created it inside common header threads. Okay. And then inside common error response, I created one response body. Okay. This particular is for headers and this is for response body. So in response body, we have 200, 400, 404, like that. We have multiple response code, but I defined here 400, 401, 404, and 500. Since 200 response will change for each API, for each resources. So we can't reuse that one. That's why I created only reusable one here. And now this is our library. Okay. In this library, I included this traits and this all data type. Okay. So what is the purpose of including inside library? Since if we will keep as it is, then every time you need to, in all the YAML, you need to include this data type and traits. Okay. So line of code will be more. So instead of that, what you can do, you can include in library and just define that library there, or yeah, just declare that library and use it wherever you want. So I will show you how to use. So inside this library, I define this common header traits, which will include this, sorry, this, then common error, which will include this. Then this request and response body, which will include these two data type. Now you will see where we are using this common error response data type. So that we are using inside here. This common error response data type we are using here, 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 here. 4 places we are using. Okay. Once we are done with all this, you need to publish this on Exchange. Okay. So it's asking for asset version. Let's make it.
Hi, Ravi. Sorry to ask you again. What is the exact difference between the library and normal fragments like examples and traits? What is the main advantage of declaring it in
Okay.
library instead of, yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you. Just give me 1 minute. So you can see here, this is trait. Okay. Inside this trait, we are defining response.
Right,
We are defining headers.
right.
Okay. But if you go to traits, inside traits, inside
Only.
library, we are defining traits and data type. Okay. So library is collection of trait and data type. Trait is a
Oh,
collection of header and
only
query
traits.
parameter and body.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Okay. This library is parent of, you can say, trait. Both
okay,
are reusable only. Like we are
okay,
defining trait to make it reusable. We are defining
okay,
library to make it reusable. But library is on next hierarchy.
okay. Done. Thank you.
Okay. Once you will publish this on Exchange, then what you can do? So you can see here, this particular fragment got published. Okay. And current version is 1.0.1. Now, what I will do, on Design Center, I will go for any one YAML. Let me go for this. Okay. And how to create YAML? So again, same thing you need to do. Create new. new API spec. You need to give name. You need to select version of RAML and then click on create API. So it will create RAML. Okay. Once it will create, then first thing will be we need to include that fragment in our RAML. Okay. How to include that one? So for that, you need to go to dependencies, and here inside fragment, you need to click on plus. Okay, then it will give you all the components available on Exchange. So I want to use this common fragment. Okay, select this one and click on add one dependency. Once you will click on that, that fragment will be available here. Okay. So once fragment will come here, then if you will go here, inside Exchange, you will able to see everything. Okay, but one thing, right now our fragment version is 1.0.1, but this one is 1.0.0. If you want to take any other version, you need to click on this change version, and then in drop down, you need to select which version you want.
Ravi, I have a question. Okay, the current fragment file version, which is need to match with our current YAML version. Okay, but in case when you importing the fragment files, in the fragment contains multiple versions. In specific version, if you're looking for it, how we can add that?
Sorry, tell me again.
Now we are showing that the when we importing the fragment file, which is the
Yes.
version is not matching into the current YAML version. In that case, we are changing the version. We can change the fragment file version to matching to the YAML version, right?
It's not like we don't need to match with RAML version. If you did some change in fragment and you want latest change, then you need to change fragment version. It's not like you have to match it with RAML version.
In case of the YAML, the fragment, sir, the fragment, we right now we can see v 1.0.0. We can see it. If we're looking for 1.0.1 version, how we can add that
Yeah, that only
in
I'm
the
saying.
first.
That only I'm explaining. So you need to click on this three dot, go to change version. Here you can see 1.0.0, 1.0.1. Which one you want? I want this one. Select this one, click on update.
Okay.
Okay. So I included that one, but here we have error. Why we have error?
Because of the version is not matching.
Yeah, this is not matching. Okay. So we need to update this to 1.0.1. Okay. And now you can see we don't have any error. Okay. So in this way, you can include fragment. Sorry, yeah, fragment. Now, from fragment, what I'm taking this library. And what name I have given? Common library. To define library, not define, it's a definition we did there, it's a declaration. Okay. To declare this library, you need to syntax, you need to use keyword usage. Okay. And then inside this library, we have multiple things. If you want to use, then syntax will be library name dot which particular component you want from there. So here I want header. Here I want error response. In this place, I want data type. In this place also, I want data type. So based on the what do you have defined inside library, what trait and data type you have defined, what you want, you need to give it. Any doubts so far? Okay. So Again, once you are done with everything, you can publish this RAML on Exchange. Once you will publish, you will able to see that RAML on Exchange. Okay, so here you can see I have already published SAPI, so you will able to see here. Okay, and here you will able to see all the endpoints. Inside payment, we have this post method. Okay, one important thing here, if you want to apply any policy, okay, so you must need to expose your RAML on Exchange. You must need to publish your RAML on Exchange. Okay, then only you will able to apply policy and all. Okay, so that process we will see. But first thing will be you need to publish your RAML on Exchange. Okay, and second part will be you need to register your RAML on API Manager. That we will see soon. Okay, and if you want to apply policy like client ID enforcement, then here you can see we have one option, request access. Go to Exchange, select that particular RAML, and then you will able to see request access. Click on this. Then it will ask you API instance ID. Okay, this instance ID is your like server instance ID where you have deployed your Mule application. Okay, I deployed on Sandbox, and this particular instance is belonging to that Sandbox environment. Okay, this is my environment. So for each environment, you will get all the instance ID. At this moment, I have only deployed on Sandbox, so I'm getting one. Select this one. Okay, and then it will ask you. So if you have already created few client permission like client ID and client secret, it will give you all the suggestion. And if you want to create separate one like new one for this, then you need to click on create a new application. Here you need to give name. Okay, let's say this client ID and client secret I am going to create for client XYZ. Okay, so for this client I am going to create this. Okay, so description you can give anything, and this too you can leave it default one. Okay, and then okay, this is not SLA based, so then click on request access. So what it will do, it will generate one client ID and client secret for you, and this client ID and client secret you need to call this API. Okay, whenever you will call this API, you need to use this client ID and client secret. Now, if it is this is system API, then you need to pass this value from process API. If this is process API, you need to pass this value from experience API. And if this is experience API, you need to give this client ID and client secret to the consumer who is going to consume your API. So they should have this client ID and client secret. Otherwise, they will not able to make call of our API. Okay. So for now, what I will do, let's save it. Okay. So part of that, you can see your code also. So it will go to design center and you will able to see code. If you want to download this particular RAML, okay, so you have this option here. You can download RAML, and as I told you, like there are multiple way you can generate Swagger online. So using this platform also we can generate Swagger. If you want to download it as a Swagger, then click on this generate. So what it will do, it will create Swagger for you. Okay, so from Dagger, from Daml, you can easily create Swagger.
Can I repeat? So Ravi, can you repeat? I didn't do this.
Okay. So maybe some clients they don't know about Raml. They want Swagger. Okay. So from
Okay,
here
okay.
you can generate Swagger also. You need to
So
select this
what are the
option.
what are the code we write in the RAM? We can convert into OAS, right? Swagger, right?
Yes. Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. Ravi, if you have a proper example of RAML, can you share if you have if you already prepared multiple many RAMLs, right? If you have included all kind of things we cover in any RAML, could you please share that?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one only like this is complete Raml only. So I will share this.
But in that research type, it's not covering, right? In the research type, not covering that. From the
Okay.
real-time
Resource
point of
type.
view,
Okay.
research type also is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Resource type actually very rarely we use, but yeah, resource type is not there in this Raml. So you can see that Raml got converted into Swagger here. Okay. So this also you can use to convert Raml into Swagger.
Okay.
Okay. Now one more thing, like if you want to test this particular, particular Raml means, so you can make it, you can make call from Postman also, and you can mock it. So here you can go and go to here you can see payment we have. Let's say we want to call get, click on this, then click on try it. Okay. And then what you can do, you can click on send. So we got success response here. Okay. Let me take any other example. So this is our request body. Click on send. So this response we got. So you can validate RAML from here also. And at the same time, if you want to call it from Postman, okay. So we have other option here. Click on this mocking service. Okay. And then make it public. Then it will give you one URL. Okay. Copy this URL. Go to Postman. Okay. And then here, click on new HTTP request, paste it here. And at the end, you need to put resource name. So this particular is for resource.
Payments.
Yeah. So first let me create all the detail and then I will generate URL. So plus payments and method will be post. Okay. So what we are doing, we are making request to this particular rammer from our postman. Okay, so if you also want, you can try same thing like this. If you will use this postman card until unless like I have selected this option, you can call it from anywhere. Okay, once I will disable this, then you will not able to make a call. Okay, hope everyone clear with this. So all this kind of capability we have in Design Center. Any question from Design Center, then you can ask.
Ravi, is it possible to view the code from the exchange?
From Exchange, once you will click on that, then it will redirect you to Design Center. They have given option there, but it will redirect you back to Design Center.
Okay. Okay, we can't see the directly in the code level. We can't see direct, right?
Yes, yes. So you know, like
Okay.
it will redirect you to Design Center.
Okay.
Okay. So next we will go to Exchange. Okay. In Exchange, like whatever you have published, that you will able to see. A part of that, Mulesoft has also given many things. Okay, you will able to see multiple connectors and their documentation, and then if you will select here, then you will able to see multiple template project, multiple examples, multiple policies, example of REST API, SOAP API, all those things you will able to see. So they have like given what I can say. This exchange is nothing but it's a repository for MuleSoft. Like MuleSoft, it's a MuleSoft repository where you can put connectors, applications, Mule application, then examples, all those kind of thing you will get here. Even when we are publishing our thing, you can see those things also. So this here you will able to see what you have published. Okay, and inside provided by MuleSoft, you will able to see what all went by MuleSoft. Okay, now next, that is very important thing, management center. Okay, so this management center has lots of capabilities, okay, which will help you to manage and deploy your Mule application. Okay, on high level, this access management we use to apply all the security policy to our API. Sorry, API manager. This API manager we use to apply multiple security policies on our API. This access management we use to provide different kind of access to different users. Okay, so that also we will see. Then runtime manager. This runtime manager we use to deploy our Mule application. It's nothing but it's a Mule server. If you are taking Cloud Hub, then this runtime manager will help you to deploy your Mule application on Mule server. Then API governance, you can put some rule. Okay, API governance is nothing but it's a rule. Okay, you can apply some rule. So if someone creating YAML, they must need to fulfill that rule. Otherwise, you will get error. Then we have this visualizer and monitoring. Okay, these two generally we use to see like what all API in visualizer, you will see what all API are there, how they are connected with each other. So that kind of graphical design you will get. And in monitoring, you will able to see like how much CPU are there, how much in use, what like at what time, what was the percentage usage of that CPU. All those things you will get in monitoring. And in secret manager, you can manage your what you can say sensitive data. Okay, that you will manage here inside secret manager. Okay, so let's see one by one. So first we will see API manager, then runtime manager, and then access management. Okay, first API manager. Okay, so can anyone tell me what is the purpose of API manager?
API manager, we can provide the policies and everything. We can maintain the wake system, vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. We can see maintain it here.
Okay.
And if that's running, if we can check here, we can see it like the particular API's state of the API. We can check it status like active or inactive. We can check it when you deploy the API into server.
Anyone else? Okay. So first thing, API manager, we apply security policy, and first step to apply security policy will be we need to register our API. Okay. So if you want to register your API, the main purpose of registering your API, you will get one auto discovery ID. Once you will register your API, you will get one auto discovery ID. That ID will be used by our runtime manager to communicate with API manager. Okay, so let me create one diagram, then it will be more clear for you. So this is our consumer, API consumer. Okay. Once they will make a request, this request will go to Mulesoft API gateway. Okay. Once this request will come to gateway, then first thing what it will do, it will make call of API manager. Okay. So what it will do, it will call API manager to check any security policy applied on it. If yes, if any security policy applied there, then it will validate that security policy. And then it will call runtime manager. So first, this gateway will call API manager to check any security policy applied or not. And then it will call runtime manager if it will get success from here. Let's say we have applied JWT token and token is not valid. So from gateway only, it will send 401 error unauthorized. If we are passing client, if we have applied client ID enforcement, client ID and client secret policy, and we are passing invalid client secret. So from here, from here, it will send error response like unauthorized user error response. It will send. Then API manager, sorry, not API manager. From gateway itself, it will send error message to consumer that particular client ID enforcement policy validation field. This user is not authorized, 401 error. And if this will send success response, then it will make request to runtime manager. Now, how this Mulesoft gateway will come to know this particular, like whatever policy you validated, for which runtime manager you validated. So whenever you register your API on API manager, it will give you one auto discovery ID. While deployment of your Mule application, you need to configure that auto discovery ID. So that auto discovery ID help this API manager to connect, to make a connection between these two. API manager to runtime manager. Okay. So this auto discovery ID will help this API manager to communicate with runtime manager. Okay. So now, first thing, how you will register your API on API manager. Let's go to API manager. So you can see here, I already registered means I have already registered this on API manager. So what I can do, let me delete one. Okay. Since we had applied policies here, that's why it's like it was, we were unable to delete it. Now let me try to delete it. So you can see that is not there. So how to register that API again? So you need to go to API, add API, add new API. Okay. Then here you will get multiple options. So for this, we need Mule gateway. Okay. Then it's asking us proxy type. Okay, so whenever you want to connect with your API, okay, so here means you will have one more option. You can create proxy API on top of your API. Okay, so anyone know like what is the purpose of proxy API? Maybe you have heard about this, you haven't implemented, but there are two main purpose of creating proxy API. So can anyone tell me? No?
Maybe I can, and maybe like if you are using proxy, then you are not using the basic endpoint, and basic endpoint could be your experience API, and you don't want to expose your experience API to, maybe like you want, if you want your experience API to be behind a proxy, you would rather use a proxy. So that way your APIs will be safe. You are not applying your policies to your experience layer. You're applying your proxy you're applying your policies to experience to a proxy layer, which is like behind your APIs. And secondly, if you apply proxies, you don't need this auto discovery. It will be automatically discovered.
Yeah, this one is partially correct. Anyone else want to try? No? Okay, so first thing, as you mentioned, like proxy API will be on top of your API. So what that will do, that proxy API will like you don't need to expose your endpoint to any external world. So what you will expose? You will expose proxy endpoint. So that will be first thing. It will give you some security to your API. But the main purpose of creating proxy API, so you can create proxy API on top of your API so that you can put all the non-functional requirement. Okay, since your API contains all the business requirement, and you have to apply some non-functional requirement, like you need to apply some rate limiting policy, you need to apply some authorization policy. Okay, so all those things are rate yeah, what you can say non-functional requirements. So what we are doing here, we are creating one proxy API on top of our implementation API so that we can put all the additional thing on the proxy API. Okay, so main thing will be that non-functional requirement. So I don't want to disturb my implementation API. Okay, so to make it more like so many company they follow too many standards. Okay, this is part of one standard where you are not doing any kind of you are not disturbing your API by applying any non-functional requirement. If in future you need to remove or add non-functional requirement, you will just do it on your proxy API. Okay, so this is the main purpose of creating proxy API so that your API application will contain all the functional requirement, and whatever non-functional requirement you have, you will put on proxy API. So your API will not be impacted. Okay. Apart of that, if there are many other application like Node.js application, Java application, okay, they want to use Mulesoft gateway. If they want to use Mulesoft gateway, then what you can do, you can create one proxy API, okay, and then inside that proxy API, you can call any Node.js API or Java application. So in that case, whenever request will come through Mulesoft gateway, and you can apply security policy there, and then that proxy API will make call of backend service like Node.js or Java. So that is second use or second purpose. If someone want to use Mulesoft API gateway, there are many other applications they are It's not very widely used, but I have seen few projects where they have Node.js application and Java application, and they want to use MuleSoft Anypoint platform as a management platform, or get they want to use MuleSoft gateway. Then we are using this proxy API. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. So here, if you want to like use proxy API, then you need to select deploy a proxy application. If you don't want to use, then simply select this one. Okay. Then Mule version, you want to use 4 or 3. I want to use 4. Click on next. Then it's asking from where I want to select RAML, from Exchange, or I want to create it. I will select from Exchange, and here I need to search it. So I want to search FP1. So this one, select this one. Then it's asking for type and all, which version you want. So I will use latest one, 1.0, this RAML one. Click on next. Then it's asking for API instance ID. So at this moment, we don't have this API instance label. Then implementation URL, consumer endpoint, these all are optional. Okay. So once you will deploy your Mule application on runtime, you will get this implementation URL. Okay. At this moment, we don't have. So click on next. Okay. It's asked you to see everything again to verify and click on save. Okay. Now you will get this API ID or auto discovery ID. So this ID you need to use in your runtime manager. Okay. To connect API manager with runtime manager, we will use this. Okay. Now here you can see we have multiple things. We have contract, policy, SLA, everything is here. Okay. Even alert is also here. Okay. So if you want to apply any policy, now you have registered your API on API manager, and now you are good to apply any policy. Okay. So for that, you need to select this option. Okay. And then you need to select this add policy option. Okay. And it will ask you which policy you want to apply. Here we have 16 out of box policy. So you can select any one. Okay. Let's say I want to apply for basic authentication. Okay. Then click on next. So it will ask you what username password you want to keep for basic authentication. You have to define it. Okay. You can give anything. So same user ID password they want to, like if consumer is consuming our API, they must need to pass this user ID and password in basic authentication. Otherwise, they will not able to call. Click on apply. So you can see here, this policy got applied here. Okay. Same way, we can add more policy. Let's say HTTP caching. Next, use default option. For now, I'm using default option. We will do detailed discussion of each policy one by one. So now I applied two policy here. Okay, you can see here, this policy is on top, this is on second level. So in same hierarchy, this policy will be verified. If you want to change the order, okay, at the current setting, whenever request will come to gateway, Mulesoft gateway, it will pass it to API manager. First, API manager will check this basic authentication, then HTTP caching. So these two policy will check one by one, and order will be basic authentication first, then HTTP caching. So what I want to do, I want to change the order. So you can use this option. So now HTTP caching will be checked first, and then it will check basic authentication. Okay. And after this change, you can change apply order. So now it will be applied in this particular order. Okay. Hope everyone clear with this. Inside contracts, you will able to see if you have any contract, like if you are applying rate this client ID enforcement. Then all those client ID enforcement is a kind of contract you are making with client. Okay, so in that case, you will able to see contracts here. If you have any kind of alert, so you will able to see here, and you can add alert also. You can create alerts also. Okay, and then SLA tier, like here you can create different kind of SLA, like platinum, gold, or you can like you can divide your customer based on their subscription, and you can create SLA, like different SLA. SLA means service level agreement. Okay, what will be your API response time? How many requests your API will handle? Those kind of service level agreement you should have with your client, so that you can create here. Okay, so all this option we have inside API manager. Let me know if anyone has any doubt.
Ravi, if you're changing the policy order, what is the benefit in that?
Sorry, your voice is not clear.
If we change the policy order, what is the
Yes.
benefit in that?
There is no benefit, like you are applying policy. Okay. In which order you want to validate and check that policy. Let's say you have this authentication policy, basic authentication or JWT token authentication. Okay. If user is not authorized, no need to check anything. Simply we will send error response. Correct? If user itself is not valid user, then why we will check other thing? Okay. So that's why you can decide your order first which policy you want to validate. So definitely this validation policy like OAuth, JWT token, basic auth, client ID enforcement, that should be on top. Okay, if user is not valid user, then no need to think about other policy. Simply send error message.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So any other doubt in this?
Any other doubt we applying the policies, that is okay, but the vCore system, how we can manage that, the API, the running state and everything.
That will
This is
come later now.
these
First,
are the regular process.
I'm asking about API manager. That will come in runtime manager. Vcode and other thing will come there. So that detailed discussion will be do.
Okay.
So you have any doubt for API manager?
No.
Anyone else has any doubt? Quickly let me know. Then we will move for runtime manager. Okay, one more thing I missed to explain. First, here you can see this environment. Okay, so whatever things we are doing here, applying policy and whatever we are doing here, this is for only for sandbox environment. This is not for other environment. And at this moment, I have only sandbox. Let me create one more environment first. So whatever security policy we applied, we registered API, everything we did for sandbox. If you go to dev environment, there will not be anything. Okay, it will be blank only. Okay, so for each environment, you need to do all this kind of setting. You need to register your API. You need to apply policy. Okay, for each environment, you need to do it separately. Okay, it's not like you did everything for sandbox, then same behavior will be on dev. You need to do it again. Now you will say, if you will do everything again one by one, then it will take lots of effort also. And there may be possibility like something you did mistake and both environment are not similar. But ideally it should be similar. So we have another option here. We have option to environment promotion. Okay, you can promote. Let me see. Let's go to SAPI. Okay. That environment promotion option should be here also. On runtime manager, we have, it should be with, yeah. Okay, promote API from environment. Okay, so whatever you did for sandbox, similar kind of setup you want for dev also. Then click on this option. Okay, so it will ask you what is your source environment, that is dev. Then for which API? Promote API from environment. Source environment should be sandbox. Why sandbox is not coming? So you need to be inside dev. Then you need to select source sandbox, and then from here I want SAPI. Payment SAPI, and then API version, this 1.0 latest one. API instance ID, this one. Okay, and then click on promote. So what it will do, whatever setup you did for sandbox, all setup will be available. Same setup will be done for dev also. Okay, if you want, you can see inside policy. These two policies applied for dev environment also. But if you go for in this dev environment, we have only SAPI one. We don't have experience API and process API. Okay, so you need to promote one by one each application. Okay, if I want to promote another,
By doing
yes,
this, the API instance or the API discovery ID won't be changed, right?
no, it will change. API instance ID will definitely change. Otherwise, how
Yeah.
it will differentiate?
Yeah,
This is
that's what I
for
meant.
dev environment. This is for sandbox.
Sandbox. Okay. So do we need to update that anywhere apart from here? No need to do that.
Yes, yes, you need to set in like that auto discovery ID you will configure in Anypoint Studio, correct?
Yes, yes, right.
And there, based on the environment, you need to configure different auto
Different.
discovery ID so that you can set in property file.
Okay, okay, yep, yep, okay.
So sandbox, and if you want to take Tappy, this instance ID promote. So all the policy what we have in sandbox, you will able to see. Okay, we haven't applied any policy, so it's coming empty.
Okay, I have a doubt
Okay.
here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so in an organization, one squad is using sandbox, and other squad will be using the dev for the same API, but both are commonly using an UAT. So
Sorry,
which
I didn't get.
instance or sorry. Okay. So in some of the organizations, one squad will be using the sandbox for the testing, and some other squad is using the dev for the same API.
Okay.
Okay. But when it comes to UAT, their UAT will be the common for both the squads.
Okay.
So in that case, we have to create a new instance for that. We can't copy the same environment like what we did in for the API manager, right? We can't do that, right?
Okay. First of all, like the way they are using that is just a workaround. Okay. This is not an actual way of using sandbox environment and dev environment. Okay. So we used to
Sorry.
separate environment. Yeah. So whatever you explain now. So
Yeah.
that is just a workaround. If you multiple projects are running at a time, then
Mhm.
that is a workaround to manage the project. That
No,
is
no.
not
Right now
actual
we are
way.
doing the same thing. No, no. Right now in our organization we are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
that
my actual question because we one API, two common API. Sorry, one common API. We are just sharing in two different between the two squads. Okay, one is using the sandbox and I am using the dev. Okay, but we both are using for both the squads only in one common UAT.
yeah, yeah, I
In
got
that
your
case,
point.
do you reckon? Okay,
Yeah, I got your point, but that is just a workaround to manage multiple projects having impact to each other. Okay.
okay.
Actual
Mm.
actual thing of creating this environment, dev environment will be used by all the development team.
No, that's not happening. That's what I was
Yeah,
telling.
yeah,
That's not
that,
happening. Yes.
yes, yes, I got your point. That's why I'm explaining what is the actual process and what
Okay.
workaround you are using. I will tell you that one also.
Oh, yes,
So
please.
actual
Okay, okay.
actual
Yeah.
process is dev environment should be used by
Right.
all the developer.
Right. Right.
Okay, whenever we develop our code, we should put in dev environment. Okay,
Yeah.
before that also we should create feature branch. We should do all the change in feature branch.
Right.
Then we should
And then
create
you
pull
can develop.
request,
Yeah. Right.
and that code will go to develop
Right.
environment, dev environment,
Right.
and that should
Yes.
be tested by us. Okay,
Right. Right.
now it will go to SIT environment. It should not go
Mhm.
directly to UAT. Based on company to company, if they have low budget, then they will not create SIT. But ideally, there should be SIT environment, which should
Right.
be handled by testing team. So they will do all the integration testing. Okay,
I
based
got
on the
it. Yes.
business requirement,
Okay.
they
Yeah.
will do all the integration testing there. Then it will move to UAT. Then user will do testing there. Okay, user will
Yeah.
validate they have
Yes.
whatever they have business requirement, that business
Yeah.
requirement like meeting or not. Okay, once it will be verified by user, once UAT sign off will be there, then it will go to pre-prod. Okay, in pre-prod we do different kind of testing, like pen test we do performance testing, we do load testing,
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
kind of
No, no,
testing
no,
should be.
Ravi. No, Ravi. My question is not that one. What I'm asking is, okay, here, how we just transfer from one environment to the other environment by using this environmental change from
Yes,
sandbox to dev. But in
yes,
our case, we are using one project is using dev environment, other project is using sandbox with the same API.
yes, yes,
Okay. So,
yes,
but our UATs are same.
yes,
Okay, it will go before, as you said that it will go to sit before going that
yes,
because our UI is connecting to the dev. One of the UI is connecting to the dev, and other UI is connecting to the sandbox.
yes, correct.
Whereas both are connecting to the same UI. In that case, we can't use this scenario, right? We can't merge the environments from one environment to the other environment. In
So
that
why
case, we need
can't?
to create a new.
First of
Sorry,
you can do no. So
how?
first of all, like security policy should be okay. You mean to say there are few API on dev, there are few API on sandbox,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
okay, yeah, then you can't do.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You can do for one, and for other you have to do it manually. Let's say you have sandbox one, you can
No, no, the
promote
same
sandbox,
API both in dev and sandbox.
then you can do.
For example.
Then you can
Okay,
do.
can you please explain me how we can do that? Because the dev one will have, as you said, that the instance and the API discovery ID will be the different, whereas for the sandbox it will be different again, right?
So as I mentioned, like this API instance ID will create automatically.
Change. Right,
Okay.
right.
So no
Yeah.
matter it's on dev, definitely in dev it will be different, sandbox it will be different. When
Right.
you will promote, only security policy alert will promote. Your instance ID will be
That's what I
newly
was
generated.
asking. Instance ID will be okay. No need to worry about it. How about the auto discovery ID then?
API instance ID, auto discovery ID will always be same, and that will be newly
That's what I
created.
was asking. Okay, okay, done. Okay. Okay. The rest of the policies and alerts, as you said, we can promote it here.
Yes, correct. And if you will see for any API, those two ID will be always same. API instance ID, auto discovery ID.
Discovery. Okay, okay, okay. I understood. Okay.
And we don't
Thank you.
have any control on this. This will be auto
Okay.
generated.
Okay. So before going to UAT, then first we have to create that in the API manager. I'm sorry to bother you again. Yeah. So first we have to create in API manager. Then we have to send that to the runtime manager before deployment, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't understand, Divya. So first, you are saying that same instant ID for like EAT, like in the dev and sandbox, both are having same API, right?
Yes.
So and when you move to like in that case, the instant ID and Autodesk both are same, right?
No, no. That's what he was trying to explain me. For example, we are having an API called SAPI or whatever it is. With the same
Mhm.
SAPI, we are having that in dev, and same SAPI is there in sandbox, but with a
Mhm.
different auto discovery ID.
Okay, then how we can promote those in that case? So how we can promote in that case? Can you
Yeah,
repeat once again?
yes, so you can promote from any one place, either from dev or from sandbox. Okay.
Okay.
So all the security policy will move and new auto discovery ID will be created.
New
Yeah.
auto display.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is okay. So that will be cover. For example, if you move from dev to sandbox, the new auto discovery will create in the sandbox, right?
Yes, correct.
But the naming conversion, naming also same, right? Then how it will
No,
happen in that case?
here what C is saying,
Hmm?
C has dev, C has sandbox. In both the places, everything is configured. Okay. Now you she want to move her code on UAT. Okay. So from
Mm.
where she will promote all this API, sorry, API manager detail. Okay.
Hmm.
She want to promote API manager. So from where she will promote, from dev or from sandbox. Since everything is same on dev and sandbox except auto discovery ID, so she can promote from anywhere. Okay, and on UAT, new auto discovery ID will be created. So that is not in our control. That will be created automatically.
Okay. 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 Understood. Understood.
Okay, fine. So we are good with this API manager. Okay, then we can take 10-minute break and then we will start runtime manager. That will take maybe 20-25 minutes. Okay, so let's take 10-minute break and then we'll start.
Sure. Thank you.